Just a little bit about me. My name is Dr. Jeremy Thornton. I'm in a private practice in Missouri. I am an internist, a clinical nutritionist, and a chiropractic physician. So that's quite an interesting combination, right? But I primarily practice in the area of functional medicine and natural medicine. And so this crossed my pathway just a couple of months ago now. And I've been looking for something natural, something clean to help the metabolism. And, honestly, I just haven't found anything, right? Anybody else been looking for something to help that was natural, right? That didn't have side effects, that could improve metabolism, maybe help you lose weight? Well, that was me. And I wanted to find a tool not only for myself, but for my patients and tried different things, right? I've tried probably literally dozens of different things. Anybody else tried dozens of different things and usually have been completely disappointed. I've even tried other quote unquote peptide products, right? And again have been disappointed. Everybody's yep, me. And so, I'm happy to say some of you already know this, but others don't, and are going to find out that this is something different, something unique, and something that actually works. Now, honestly, I did not believe that was going to be the case, right? I'm super skeptical. Anybody else skeptical? Super skeptical about new technologies, new supplements, all the things, right? Yep, I see that in the comments. And I honestly didn't believe this was going to work for me, right? I've tried so many different things. Um, my friend Tanya, who I love dearly, shared these drops with me, right? Looks something like this. And and so I said, okay, I'll try them, right? I'll try them. So my definition of trying them was trying them over the Christmas holiday and New Year. Okay. Anybody generally lose weight over Christmas and New Year, right? And so I did not expect this to help, especially over Christmas and New Year's, right? Because I wasn't exactly eating great, right? I wasn't exactly um, tracking my healthy eating and my macros and living a perfect life. I hope that's not what I recommend, but honestly, that's I wasn't being a good example over the holidays. Did not expect any benefits from the drops, and what I come to find out is not only did I not gain weight, I always gain weight. Anybody else always gain weight over the holidays? 5 pounds, 10 pounds. I think the average in America is 12 pounds. Um, I lost 2 pounds. I lost 2 pounds over the holidays and New Year, and I was literally blown away, right? I did not, I was faithful with the drops. I did not watch my diet. And not only did I not gain weight, which was a miracle in and of itself, I lost 2 pounds. And so, needless to say, that got my attention. And so I quickly realized that I had my hands on something unique, something special. And then I dove into the product, I dove into the science. I'm like, sign me up. More people need to know about this. And the more I've studied, the more I've utilized this product myself, the more I've used this product with my own family, with patients, right? That's what a good doctor does. Is first they guinea pig themselves and their family. Anybody else do that? Here, honey, try this, right? But I've just seen some amazing changes in such a short period of time, right? We're only in what, mid-February now. This product came out in what, November-ish, and so it's not been around long. But I'm already seeing changes in not only things like fat loss, which is exciting, right? Losing inches, but I'm seeing some changes in some metabolic markers that we'll talk about briefly that I think is pretty exciting. And so I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm not going to follow the slides exactly as we normally do, but I am going to talk about the different pathways. I'm going to do a little deeper dive into these pathways, tell you why this is so important and why more people need to know about this, right? So as you can see, everybody hear me okay? Type yes in the comments if we're still good. Um, Three pathways, one drop. So I don't know if you can see me in my little camera there, but this is called semaglutide. This is a synthetic peptide, oftentimes called the brand name Ozempic. Anybody heard of Ozempic? Anybody tried Ozempic? Would love to know what your findings or your experience was. For this peptide, you're going to need this, right? Anybody fond of these? Not particularly. But this is called, often called a GLP-1, right? And that's not exactly true, but this is often called a GLP-1. Yep, everybody's heard of Ozempic or semaglutide or GLP-1. This is a single peptide, a single pathway. Okay. This is three pathways. Notice that uh, there's not one of these involved, right? That's the important part. So these are sublingual, meaning under the tongue. These are drops you simply place under your tongue, and it's absorbed directly into the bloodstream. Susan wound up in the hospital from Ozempic. That can happen, sadly. It is a pretty aggressive compound. It has helped a lot of people, and it's not inherently evil. But I'm excited that we have an alternative. Before now, I don't think there was a great alternative, and now we have an alternative that's not only alternative to pharmaceutical medicine, but something that is actually food, right? It's something that's actually clean, something that actually has healthy ingredients without significant drastic side effects. Amy says, and so simple. Exactly. So GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. So glucagon-like peptide 1 is naturally occurring. That means the body makes it. Okay. These are not actually GLP-1s. These act like GLP-1s. They can mimic that pathway, right? So our body naturally makes glucagon-like peptide 1. It's produced in the gut, and it responds, or it triggers receptors, right? Our cells have receptor sites on them, right? So the peptide activates these receptors largely in the pancreas, the brain, and the stomach. Okay, that's a GLP-1 response is in those tissues especially. It's released in the intestines after eating, right? That's the natural GLP-1 peptide. This is often called GLP-1, although that's not an accurate name. It truly would be called a GLP-1 agonist. Okay, what that means, agonist means something that supports an action. Antagonist, right, means it opposes an action. So this is actually a GLP-1 agonist. Okay. So it mimics this natural hormone or this naturally occurring peptide in the body. Does that make sense? It mimics that. It's synthetic, it's made in a lab, it's injected into your body. So that is the GLP-1. So our drops, see, so what are these, right? These also have GLP-1 like activity that come not from a lab, not synthetic, but from bioactive salmon derived peptides. That's exciting in it. So from actual food, we have peptides that have GLP-1 activity. And that's super exciting. So this helps regulate insulin secretion. It helps stabilize blood sugar levels. It helps appetite and satiety. It can slow down the stomach emptying speed. That's why we feel full. People feel full longer. Oftentimes it's called the appetite controller. This slide calls it the appetite whisperer. I like that. So it's called the appetite controller. And so if you look at it like this, so let's basically a peptide is like flipping a switch, right? When we activate these receptors, it's kind of like flipping a switch, and then that whatever that receptor is supposed to do, those actions happen. So we flip a switch by using either something synthetic or in our case, thankfully, something natural. So we flip a switch. And I kind of like to compare our peptides to something um, more gentle, more natural. So, the light switches that are in the fancy restrooms, right? They come on when you walk in the restroom, and as long as there's movement, they stay on, right? But they don't stay on forever, and they don't stay on excessively long. It just stays on just long enough, right? And a synthetic peptide would be almost like flipping the light switch on and then going on vacation for a week, right? That's kind of like the action of a synthetic peptide. But we're both talking about switches, and that's what peptides do. So GLP-2, we have three pathways. If somebody could flip this slide, we have three peptides in here. GLP-2 is called glucagon-like peptide 2, also naturally occurring in the body. Our body makes that largely in the gut. I call it the gut repair crew. Okay, it's known for its repair and support in the gut. It supports the gut lining. It improves nutrient absorption in the body. It reduces gut inflammation. It slows the intestinal transit slightly. It has many people are noticing improvement in better mood, better energy. Anybody notice those benefits that are on the drops besides maybe losing a little bit of weight? Anybody have better mood or better energy? And what's believed is that, Demetrius says yes. What's believed is that we're, and we heard the gut called the second brain, right? So we actually produce 90% of our serotonin in our gut. Okay. 50% is of dopamine is produced in the gut. So if our gut is healthy, right, we're going to have better mood, better energy, right? Better mental clarity, just simply because we're improving gut health. And I'm excited that this interacts with those receptor sites, right? This triggers the GLP-2 pathway. Again, this does not, right? The other thing that I'm excited about with the GLP-2, the studies show that our bioactive salmon-derived peptides lower a substance called zonulin. So why is that exciting? So zonulin is the chemical that causes leaky gut. Anybody heard of leaky gut syndrome? So this is really prevalent. A lot of wear and tear happens on our gut, right? It causes leaky gut. It causes the cells to produce a substance called zonulin. Zonulin causes the cells in the gut to open up, and where they get the term leaky gut, right? Opens up these cells, letting things pass through that intestinal barrier that are not supposed to. And that triggers a lot of problems in the GI tract, a lot of problems throughout the body, inflammation, etc. But guess what? Zonulin also works on another barrier that's similar to the intestinal barrier called the blood-brain barrier, right? And so the blood-brain barrier also opens up and it can cause a situation called leaky brain. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into this particularly, but I'm excited that this product has been shown to lower zonulin. That means healthier gut for sure. And of course, it can also mean healthier brain. Also, the third pathway that we talk about called GIP, right? The third pathway in here, again, is not in here, right? Is called GIP. So GIP is glucose dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. Say that 5 times. Now you know why we call it GIP, right? So GIP is, again, a naturally occurring gut peptide or gut hormone released after eating by the cells in the gut. It's involved in nutrient processing. It signals that helps our body decide what to do with the incoming food. Okay, and that's important because it improves insulin release in the pancreas. It helps direct how our nutrients are stored or used for energy. It helps to direct how it helps direct insulin signaling in the body. It also improves lean tissue and muscle preservation. It's kind of like the traffic director deciding where these incoming nutrients go. Okay, does that make sense? And so that is what GIP is. And all three of these pathways are triggered by this simple substance that we're excited about, by the TriGLP drops. Most people are using 5 drops under their tongue twice a day and seeing amazing benefits along these areas. Now, in my as a clinician in working with patients, one of the things that I'm already seeing benefits in is insulin resistance. And so insulin resistance is huge. If you're not aware of that, especially here in America, actually worldwide, but especially here in America, diabetes right now is 1 in 8 people. 1 in 8 people are diabetic. 1 in 3 people are pre-diabetic. That's huge, right? If we were to open up, put all of our cameras on, right, like the Brady Bunch, and we looked left and we looked right, right, one of those 3 people are are pre-diabetic. That's how prevalent it is. It's expected by 2030 that 15% will be diabetic, 40% will be pre-diabetic. It's thought by 2018, or I mean, sorry, 2060 that 18% will be diabetic and 50% will be pre-diabetic. So insulin resistance is the driver of that. And it's estimated that at least 50% of Americans are insulin resistant. And I would probably argue that closer to 60, maybe 70% are insulin resistant. The reason we don't know those figures exactly is because doctors aren't checking for insulin resistance. They're only looking for diabetes and maybe pre-diabetes. What I'm seeing with my patients is that even though I've only been using this a short period of time, is I'm seeing improved glucose control, which I think is super exciting. I'm seeing improved fasting insulin numbers. And what that means is if our fasting insulin levels are improved, our body is responding to blood sugar and insulin more efficiently, right? And a tool that could impact blood sugar and insulin resistance is going to impact health dramatically, right? Insulin resistance and blood sugar problems drive what? All the other big causes of disease and death, right? Cardiovascular disease, cancer, neurodegenerative conditions, right? All of these things stem are dramatically increased by diabetes and other blood sugar management issues. And so I'm super excited to see what I am seeing in my clinic with patients. Already starting to see improved blood sugar management, and that's exciting, right? So I won't